welcome to the Paul Ricard circuit in France for round number 2 of the 2020 Euroformula Open. It's our second stop on the calendar. We got underway at the Hungaroring just a couple of laps ago, this race number 1 of the weekend. My name's Chris McCarthy. Thank you very much for being with us on a beautiful afternoon in France. Temperatures 31 degrees, making the track temperature 53 degrees out there. I'm going to be joined as ever by Elliot Wood. Elliot, great to have you along with us. Before we hear from Elliot, we're going to go through the grid. On pole position, it is going to be Lucas Dunner. Didn't race at the first round, but joined the Crypto Tower racing team for this round. Of course, third last season. He's going to start pole. His teammate's going to be alongside him. Yiffy took both race wins at the first round. And Yiffy, comfortable championship leader. He won the 2016 French F4 Championship, so knows her way around these circuits. Ido Cohen, brilliant qualifying from him. He's going to start in third place, is the Israeli driver. Ido Cohen didn't get a podium at round 1. Can he get one here? Then we have Andreas Essner, took second in both races at the first round. Maybe slightly disappointed with fourth, but expect to see him challenging for the podium. Fifth place will be Zane Maloney, one of the rookie drivers out there. Zane Maloney did very well at the opening round. He was on the podium. Behind Zane Maloney in fifth is going to be this driver, Manuel Maldonado. He is going to start from sixth place. He is the 20-year-old. Getting up to speed is Manuel, quicker every time he goes out, as is this driver here, Nicholas Crewton, the 17-year-old. He's going to start from 7th place, finished 11th in last year's Italian F4 Championship, and 10th in the ADAC Championship. So moving up from F4 to race in Euroformula. Well, let's look what happened at the Hungaroring just a couple of weeks ago. It was Yiffy who took both pole positions, and he'd go on to take both race wins. This was the closest anyone got to him going down towards turn 1. Just behind him, Andreas and Sebastian Essner going side by side. Zane Maloney behind that, diving down the inside of his teammate Ido Cohen. This was Ido Cohen being passed by Eriton Simmons as they went through turn number 1. Eriton Simmons not quite able to pull off the move, as out front the number 20 Yiffy would storm off to take a race win by 7.4 seconds. And he would become familiar with that first spot on the podium as he once again led us away for race number 2, with once again Andreas Essner alongside him on the front row. Andreas and Sebastian Essner would almost be a replay of race 1 as they went side by side going in towards turn number 1. Ido Cohen in the blue car to the left of screen made a great start to dive into 4th place. Sebastian Essner made contact. This was the moment Ricard Andrade had a spin in the 99 car, and we had battling going on here between Maldonado with Sebastian Essner, but out front it would be Yiffy who took the win once again from Andreas Essner and Zane Maloney. Well, we must bring in now Elliot Wood as the cars set off for the roll-up lap. Elliot. Race number 1 for round 2 in the Euroformula Open about to get underway. Cars going round to start the warm-up lap. Lucas Dunner and Yiffy, the Crypto Tower racing teammates, are going to be on row 1. Ido Cohen and Andreas Essner will be on row number 2. Then we go to row 3. Zane Maloney, podium finisher and rookie winner from round number 1. Manuel Maldonado starts alongside him. Nicholas Crewton and Eriton Simmons are on row number 4. Ricard Andrade will be hoping for a better run of things this time. He's going to be on row 5 with Cameron Daz. Like Lucas Dunner, he joins us for this round. Sebastian Essner, disappointing qualifying for him. He starts just outside the top 10 alongside Glenn Van Berlo. Then we have Shihab Al-Habsi, and on home soil, Alexandra Bardignon. Elliot, tell us what's been happening in practice. Who are the ones to watch? And what's been going on in the paddock?
The talk of the town, or the talk of the paddock, really.
The talk of the town.
Yeah, it's tight temperature. So it's been very, very hot in Paul Ricard. 31, 32 degrees air temperature pretty much from when cars are first going on track. Obviously the tyres are getting hotter more. You could say they're shedding more rubber onto the track, so you've got more build-up of marbles, etc. flying, which we can see at the entrance to turn 10/11 here. So that's going to make it harder for drivers trying to make overtakes. Then the tyres themselves are getting very, very hot on qualifying laps. We saw this morning in practice yesterday. So their peak is a very short period. So we're seeing a driver set the fastest lap, they're unlikely to improve on it for a while until fuel loads get lower, and because tyres do kind of have like life cycles. You go through a few, it's like an onion, you know, that old track saying.
Wow.
Yeah, you go through an old layers and then you kind of get more energy out of it. So that's a big topic. Then Zane Maloney, he set the track record in practice, was beaten in qualifying, but he was over a second faster than everyone else there. And that was to do with setup changes they made between the Hungarian season opener and Paul Ricard this weekend. He's been complaining that his steering wheel's been feeling, well, not a little, quite heavy after a few laps, and that's basically how the car's behaving once it gets a few laps into the race. They believe that's fixed. Fortunately, he only qualified 5th today, so we wouldn't see how that would work from the front of the grid. And then Crypto Tower Racing, Lucas Dunner's come in. Timo Rumpfkarl, the motorsport team principal, was actually telling Yiffy to look at his Sector 1 onboards during qualifying, because he was pretty rapid there, and he beat his teammates' pole by 0.002 seconds, so an astonishingly close amount. And obviously Lucas was on pole last year, here last year. He didn't win it, but he's got a lot more race experience now. He's a lot older, he's a lot taller as well, he's very tall. And I think he'll be the favourite to win today.
There's been no European winners around here in the championship since 2017, where Harrison Scott took both race wins. There you can see Duarte Felix da Costa, who works with Manuel Maldonado, as they watch on, as we all do, for those lights to go on. So it's going to be Dunner and Yee, Cohen and Essner, Maloney, Maldonado, Crewton, Simmons, Andrade, Daz, Essner, Van Berlo, Al-Habsi and Bardignon. The grid is set. We are missing from row number 3, Zane Maloney, so not too sure what's happened to him. We'll sort it out afterwards, because we're about to go racing. Lights go out and off they go down towards turn number 1. It's a good start from row number 2 there from Ido Cohen. He's challenging Yiffy Ye going in towards turn number 1, but leading us is going to be Lucas Dunner. As it through turn 1 they go. Ido Cohen trying to dive down the inside there. Yiffy Ye having to take to the exit, as through turn number 2 they now go, and it's still Yiffy Ye leading there. Ido Cohen has dropped down to potentially 4th place here. That looks like Andreas Essner going through. We go on board with Shihab Al-Habsi as we go downhill into turn number 3. That looks like Sebastian Essner ahead of him now. He's side by side here, making his way up towards turn number 5. That looks like Glenn Van Berlo ahead of him, but they go off the track there. That looks like both, that's 2 of the Picos, isn't it? That's, I think Yiffy Ye's gone off there, as I think Andreas Essner in the Van Amersfoort also going off, so that's going to help Lucas Dunner in the lead. I think Ido Cohen may have been able to get a place back. In fact, I say that Ido Cohen is in a bit of a sandwich here going down towards the chicane. More drivers running wide now. All of this helping Lucas Dunner out front. Yiffy Ye, all straightforward for him at round 1, but so far not the case as they make their way up towards turn 10, and Ido Cohen desperately trying to get back that 3rd place. It's Lucas Dunner who's leading from Yiffy Ye. Andreas Essner has to his outside. Ido Cohen, Nicholas Crewton's made a good start. He's up to 5th place from 7th on the grid as they come through the long right-hander at turn number 11. Looks like Eriton Simmons there diving down the inside to take a place. That's going to be Eriton Simmons going past Rui Andrade as we go on board with Shihab Al-Habsi. He currently rounds out the field. Just ahead of him, I think might be Alexandra Bardignon, that is, who might be just ahead, as Shihab Al-Habsi just trying to hang on. Bit of a difficult start to the race for Shihab. Through the penultimate corner and up towards the last corner. That is Shihab Al-Habsi in the middle of your shot, as just ahead of Van Berlo that was locking up a tyre. But we'll call them as they come across the line for you. Lucas Dunner, it is who leads the way from Yiffy Ye in 2nd place. Andreas Essner is in 3rd. Then it's Cohen, Crewton, Simmons is up to 6th, and Simmons to the inside here, coming down towards turn number 1. He's trying to make further places as through turn 1 we go, and that looks like Eriton Simmons making another place there. We've got Manuel Maldonado in 7th, Rui Andrade just behind that. Down towards turn 3 they go now on lap number 2. More battling going on here through the right and now into the left-hander. This all going on just behind Simmons, Maldonado and Rui Andrade involved in this. There's Glenn Van Berlo making a nice move on Sebastian Essner. That's going to put him up into 10th place. Cameron Daz is the driver just ahead of that, so busy start to the race as ever in Euroformula Open there, Elliot, but lots of drivers running wide means we've got an escape in Lucas Dunner with Yiffy Ye in chase.
Yeah, lots of frantic action there. We don't actually know why Zane Maloney didn't take the start. It did show that he was in pit lane, but I've had a look and I can't see him, so I don't think his race is going to begin at all.
Here's a replay of the start. with an empty grid slot on the third row. And it was a brilliant start, as you see, from Ido Cohen as they charged down towards the first corner. So we look at it head on. You can see the blue Carlin liveried car there of Ido Cohen just made a great start to get alongside Yiffy Yi going in towards turn number 1. Yiffy would eventually run wide through there, but all good for Lucas Dunner. There you can see Yiffy Yi should have really given that place back if he didn't, because to my eyes, Ido Cohen was ahead going in towards turn number 2, but he certainly didn't give it back. So I don't know if that's going to be something that looks into. I think Glenn Van Berle, that was ahead of Shihab Al-Habsi running wide, and he now trying to make his way back onto the circuit. Oh, and there was almost fractional contact there with Alexandra Bardignon. Lucky, the pair of them, to get away with that one. Sebastian Essner not going good for him. Podium finisher at round 1. He's down all the way in 13th place, so he's had problems somewhere as they come through screen. That's Nicholas Crewton in at the number 4 we're looking at. Behind that's the 33 of Maldonado, then Simmons, Andrade, and then this is the American driver Cameron Daz, who's racing in the FIA F3 Championship with Carlin this year. Best results for him so far in that championship this season, 11th place, and he's running in 9th here so far. As into the right-hander, that is Cameron Daz trying to move on Andrade, but not quite working out. Glenn Van Berle waiting to make his first impact on that battle as they head now up to the back straight for the second time. Let's get some gaps for you. 1.6 seconds it is between Dunner and Yi, your two leaders, then a further 2.5 seconds back to Andreas Essner. Yiffy Yi's been quite fortunate here, considering he was one of the drivers that made mistakes. It just went a little bit worse for some of those behind him. The battle for third is certainly not over. That is developing. Essner, Cohen, Crewton, Maldonado, Simmons, all involved in that battle. Speaking to Eriton Simmons, he says he hasn't really done this track on a sim, driven here. So he, like he was at Hungary, just doing his best to try and get up to speed. And there we see Eriton Simmons, and there we see him make the easiest overtake he ever will as Maldonado ran wide. And that is Eriton Simmons up into 6th place now. So up towards turn 13 they go. Let's have another look here. And too much speed into the corner, and that opens up the gap. And there goes Eriton Simmons and Maldonado to make a place and put himself into 6th place. As number 25, you can see that as they go through screen up towards the start-finish line. This is Shihab Al-Habsi looking at the back of French driver Alexandra Bardignon. Great to ride on board, so here we might have a look, if we stay on board with them, how quick these first 2 corners are. Into the left we go, blind entry, so you've got to take curb, sit in the middle of the track, and then uphill, back downhill on the exit again through turn number 2, and now you start to charge downhill into turn 3. Hopefully we get more of those on boards. Great to have an onboard camera live out there on Shihab Al-Habsi. This is Maldonado, we can see in the 33. Back towards our leaders. There goes Simmons through, Maldonado through shot. There's Andrade and Daz as we go back on board with Shihab Al-Habsi. We come uphill over turn 7. Now the long run down towards turn number 8. To 8 and 9. This is where most of the overtaking would be done. As we're just looking there at Glenn Van Berle. Glenn Van Berle running in 10th place so far. 2 9th places for him at the first round for Glenn Van Berle. For Andreas Essner, he took both 2nd place finishes. So of all the drivers from the last round that are here, so far he's running in 2nd. Ido Cohen, he had a 6th and a 4th at the first round. Looking to keep that consistency going. It leaves him 5th in the championship, but with no Zane Maloney, well, he's going to gain a place there. With Sebastian Essner doing as bad as he is, there's a good chance he'll be in 3rd place at the end of this race. On screen, this is that battle for 3rd we were talking about. That is Ido Cohen in the number 6th. Down through the first corner, we go back on board with Shihab Al-Habsi as he follows Alexandra Bardignon into turn number 1 as we go on to lap number 5, Elliot.
Yeah, we've seen some good racing so far, and I think the one thing I've noticed is this Lucas Dunner of now is very different to the Lucas Dunner of 2019 when he started from pole at Paul Ricard and didn't have the same kind of race management skills that we're seeing now. He's looking after his tyres. He's still extending a lead, although Yiffier has just set the fastest first sector, but by a tiny, tiny amount. And he's got almost 2 seconds in hand after the first 4 laps.
Zido Cohen just heading down back straight. And if he starts to put that pressure on Andreas Essner, we're really going to start to see an interesting battle develop there. Nicholas Crewton has been one of the biggest provers, if not the biggest improver, between rounds 1 and 2. Round 1, he finished 8th and 10th. And Nicholas Crewton, who you see there, is at the moment running 5th. He's the lead rookie as well. So far, a brilliant performance from the young German driver, Nicholas Crewton. This is Zido Cohen, the driver he's trying to chase down. Lap number 5 now, and last time round, Yiffier was purple through the first sector. The gap is just under 2 seconds between the top 2. This is your 4th place driver. We can see Zido Cohen. He's got the same distance to Andreas Essner ahead than he does to Nicholas Crewton behind, so he's got to just try and focus on the driver ahead as we have a look now at Lucas Dunner, who controlling the race, you have to say, out front so far.
Yeah, he definitely is. And although he does have the fastest lap as he crosses the line again, Yiffier is closing back in again, but around 1 or 2 tenths each lap. So I think he still has got victory in the bag, per se. And at Paul Ricard, we don't tend to see overtaking in single-seater races towards the end because the tyres do go off so quickly. There isn't much disparity between the drivers unless you're, I don't know, like a Sergio Perez and you're so superb at saving tyres that you can actually get that advantage even if you're behind a driver. So I'd expect Dunner to keep this lead now. It'll be more interesting to watch the batters further behind, especially where Zido Cohen is, because we know this Carlin car has got improved pace. Zane Maloney obviously can't show it because he's not in this race, but Cohen can. And I believe he has raced at Paul Ricard before as well, so great experience for him.
Yeah, really good stuff from Zido Cohen so far. Just trying to chase down Andreas Essner. It's one thing holding on, but as you said, it is tough to overtake in single-seaters around here. As we look now at Eriton Simmons, the British driver, coming over from having raced in British F4 and British F3 for a while. He did do the F3 Asian Winter Series as well.
Simmons has just set the fastest middle sector of anyone. His double R car is pretty much set up to be the fastest in a straight line of anyone as well. So he should do well down the Minstrel Straight and get some overtakes. He's currently chasing Nicholas Crewton, who was fastest in Sector 1, I believe, and has actually also been very fast in a straight line. So maybe a very two-match drivers there.
Let's see what he can do, Nicholas Crewton. This is Nicholas Crewton, the 17-year-old German that we were talking about. Actually raced in the FIA Motorsport Games F4 Cup last year, finished 2nd in that. But the challenge for him at this moment in time is to try and hold off Eriton Simmons, who him and Manuel Maldonado were 2 of the only drivers that were really throwing moves in at Hungaroring. This is on board with Shihab Al-Habzi. We have to talk really about Sebastian Essner, what is going on. He's the driver behind Shihab Al-Habzi, but to go from finishing on the podium in the first race of the season, 5th in the second race, to being 13th and last of the runners. What is going on with Sebastian Essner?
I think it was mostly a case of a very poor first lap. The overtaking on that first lap is under investigation, so I believe that'd be Zido Cohen and Yiffier move and possibly the Drive X1 further back, where drivers came off track and then rejoined, possibly not in the position they should have. Yeah, Essner had a really poor first lap. Van Amersfoort had this setup for their cars pretty much hooked up for the Hungaroring. It was a brilliant job they did there, whereas at Paul Ricard they haven't looked as strong as some of the other teams. And also, this is an open engine formula. We've got Spies and HWA engines here. Van Amersfoort is pretty much a top HWA powered team, as we see a replay of Lucas Dunner, who did actually set fastest lap last lap and was fastest through this first sector. We're seeing him now. He's extended his lead to almost 2 seconds, and he's driving for a Spies powered team. in Crypto Tower Racing, which is the top 2 cars. Andreas Essner in third, 7.5 seconds back already after just 6 laps. Is in a HWA powered car. With long straights here, I think it probably is a power circuit for these Formula cars.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the grid, and most of the Speed's engines are, you know, in the top 10, and then outside of the top 10 is only HWA cars. You know, and that's not all down to the engine, of course. We've got a lot less experience. We've got a lot of rookies up the top 10. So, yeah, it's something that may be making just a little bit of a difference out there as we see Dunner and Yi go through shots. And once again, Lucas Dunner now starting to put those purple sectors in as he starts to work his way, build that gap. He actually has put a new fastest lap in on the last lap, 155.079. This is that continuing battle now we can see of Nicholas Crewton and Eriton Simmons. I think we're going to see here just how difficult it is to overtake round here. We have a look at a replay. Shihab Habzi. Oh, and that was Bardinen, wasn't it, ahead? He was just making a little bit of a mistake there, running wide over the exit of turn 2, getting a little bit of air time in 2 ways. And Alexandre Bardillon, that drops him to 12th place.
We're 8 laps in now, and Lucas Dunner and Yiffier are still improving up front on sector times. Haven't seen any personal best really from anyone else, although Crewton did set his personal best lap last lap, but it was more a case of hooking up everything all as one lap rather than being particularly quicker in one area of the track. But he's definitely under pressure right now from Eriton Simmons. Simmons could try a move at turn 11, and he does have a look on the inside, but it's going to be very tricky there because we've had so much rubber laid down by other series today that if you try and go, even especially on the outside, you just get very loose and slide off track.
Well, it's just not the, it's not just the usual GT Cup Open and Euroformula and International GT Open. We also do have F4 Spanish Championship, as well as TCR and the Formula Regional European Championship as well. So hence why we have a few people who have come along to watch this today, because there is so much racing going on this weekend, and it's just been absolutely fantastic just to be here, let alone doing what we are lucky enough to be doing. Down the start-finish straight, Eriton Simmons, you can see, trying everything he can. He is, I think it's fair to say, he is the quicker of the two here. He's putting all the pressure on Nicholas Crewton, but just can't quite find a way through.
I think Crewton is able to respond though. Whatever Simmons is throwing at him, Crewton knows when his car is stronger and when he can respond. Yiffier had just set his personal best final sector. He's already on to the next lap. So this is how far these two cars are behind. Ye and Essner at the front have just set their personal best in the first sector. So we were told, both of us were told by several drivers, 2 driver coaches and 1 team boss, that the tyres wouldn't be lasting this well in this race. But we've seen fastest lap after fastest lap, personal best after personal best. Ye and Essner are still improving up front, and we've got cars that are willing to go side by side, even though the tyres, and to be fair, Simmons to get a bit loose on the entries of the chicane there, even though tyres are going to drop away inevitably at one point.
It looks like Nicholas Crewton is responding now on Eriton Simmons. We can see going through picture. It's not been the best lap for Simmons, but it's been a good lap from Nicholas Crewton. He wants to get that pressure off him and start putting that back on, start closing that gap to Ido Cohen ahead.
Yeah,
as we see Lucas Dunner, 2 podiums for him here last season, which is where we kicked off the season, in fact.
And he could potentially set a personal best for himself, although I do believe he still has fastest lap. Now actually, yeah, car number 69 fastest lap, Lucas Dunner, he's going to cross the line in a few seconds' time. His previous was a 1:55.2, which is pretty much on the pace. He's now setting a 1:55.075, so it was fastest lap. Best final sector, he did look very clean through there. 1:55.075. Now that is about 3.4 seconds quicker than the Formula Regional cars that ran this morning in arguably preferable track conditions. It was a little cooler. And these are both pitched as kind of 3rd-tier single-seater series. And you can see the design Dalara's brought with the new 320, this increased pace, as 2 cars have just gone past us on the pit straight, side by side. I think that might have been Rui Andrade and Cameron Das. They were separated by 6/10 as they crossed the line. Hopefully we're going to see their sector 1 splits, and potentially there may have been an overtake.
And That's right, if it wasn't them, then it would have been for 12th. With Barton and Essner split by 2/10. We'll soon find out. But I know we've talked a lot about Nicholas Crewton. This would be his best result in the championship if he does this. He did do a race last season. Best result was 8th, and he matched that at the first round. Doesn't look like there has been any changes, so the side-by-side action didn't lead to an overtake. Here we can see what it's like going through the chicane with Shihab Al-Habsi. And this is a queue that is starting to form, isn't it? This is a little bit further down the field, and I think this might be a result of the side-by-side action that we saw. As there we can see Shihab Al-Habsi, we have an onboard camera with. Ahead of him, the driver is chasing his teammate there, Glenn Van Berlo in that number 12. And ahead of Van Berlo, we now see Cameron Daz, who is no stranger, is Cameron Daz, the American, to this series.
I think the outcome of this race has pretty much been set from the first lap, because we had Sebastian Essner starting in 5th, and I think Maldonado was starting up there as well. And after awful first laps where they've dropped position, they haven't been able to recover that. And Yiffy kind of got lucky because he was side by side with Ido Cohen through the first 2 corners. Didn't actually make the second corner, took to the runoff. Arguably got an advantage out of that and has sat in second ever since. He's now 2 seconds behind Lucas Dunner, but he's got 8 seconds in hand over the Van Amersfoort racing driver Andreas Essner. So Crypto Towers certainly got their car hooked up this weekend, and as shown by the pace of Rui Andrade as well, this is probably his most convincing performance in Euroformula in quite a while.
Yeah, it's great stuff, this, from Rui Andrade. We saw he had that spin as well, didn't he, at the first round, and it was just not it just wasn't the start that he was looking for, was Rui Andrade, but as you said, he showed much better pace this time, which is good to see. There's been a clear improvement for Rui Andrade. He was also at the Toyota Racing Series earlier this year as well, so he has had a bit of experience under his belt. And in terms of podium finishes, he got a few of those when he did UAE F4 as well. So he's one that could be one to challenge top 5s and so on throughout the latter part of this season. So far, he just seems to be going at a nice progressive rate. But no progressive rate for Lucas Dunner. This is Yiffy, his teammate. You have to say Yiffy would happily settle for second place. Lucas Dunner may have missed the first round, but Yiffy would be more than happy with that second place. Andreas Essner, likewise, I think will be pleased with 3rd, but looking at lap times, is Ido Cohen closing that gap? Well, Andreas Essner's just gone personal best, so he has responded, so to speak.
Much in the midfield had actually set personal best in the previous lap, and they're getting faster through the first sector as well, which is probably the highest speed sector, which isn't basically just a straight line. So the fuel load's getting lighter, cars are getting quicker that way, but tyres are still holding on as well, because we're seeing personal bests in the twisty bits as well as the straight line bits, which is going completely against what we were expecting and what everyone in the paddock has been saying this weekend. And arguably that's just helped Lucas Dunner rob to victory, as Yiffy Ye's actually just set the fastest first sector of anyone at 31.439. Lucas Dunner set 31.5, so that would have been the 3rd fastest of anyone so far. So I guess the battle for victory isn't over yet. We've still got 5 laps to go. And the tyres are certainly lasting.
It's not what we were told, as you said, but are we ever told the truth? Who knows? As this is the battle between Nicholas Crewton and Eriton Simmons. They've run in that order, as now they go up towards turn 10. So this is the second stage of this battle. There's clearly been a mistake from Nicholas Crewton, because Eriton Simmons all over him as they now come up towards turn number 10. Simmons to the right hand of screen. They're looking to the outside in that double R racing car. Through turn number 10 they go, looking into the inside in turn number 11. Eriton Simmons can't quite find a way through. Nicholas Crewton doing just enough to hold on. And it was almost a change for 5th place. For both of them, it would be their best result of the season if they could take that 5th place finish. Eriton Simmons just has to settle in behind for the time being. Third in the BRDC British F3 Championship, so a natural step now for him to come over and do a European version.
Lucas Dunner was only at less than a tenth of a second off the fastest lap of the race last time round. So even though he was faster in the first sector, he immediately responded, and the gap's actually gone out to 3.16 seconds now.
Well, he's not settling, is he? He's not taking his foot off the gas, so to speak. This is the 33 Emmanuel Maldonado with a growing train of cars sitting behind, which goes all the way back to the number 34 there of Shihab Al-Habsi, who we have the onboard camera with. 5 in this battle. All it takes here is one mistake. One driver in this makes a mistake, and then chaos almost will ensue.
Pretty much, yeah. It's pretty much what we saw from the first lap as well. If you made a mistake there, it cost you for the rest of the race.
There you go.
Cameron Das goes a bit wide. You've got 2 Drivex cars behind him. Drivex car is actually very quick in qualifying, but both drivers got totally caught out by traffic on their best laps. And that's Simmons now, who's on the rear of Nicholas Crewton again. Has been since the early part of this race. His Drivex car goes side by side with Cameron Das into the chicane, takes the racing line, inside line, and it's through. Al-Habsi's going to try and repeat the move that Glenn Van Berlo just made. He's coming up behind Cameron Das. Looks like Das got better traction out the corner. He's actually lining up a return move. Van Berlo responds down the straight. That was a bit risky there, and he's got the entry line into turn 10. Looks like Das is going to take the tighter line, as often the Motorpark and Crypto Tower cars do, and it's going to go inside turn 11. Thinks better of it. Al-Habsi gets very loose and goes off on the marbles. It's great watching a battle ahead from an onboard with the car behind.
It is. You really get to feel how a driver would be reacting in that situation. And Shihab Al-Habsi, just a loss of grip through turn number 11 there, and unfortunately it's dropped him back just slightly from this battle. And I don't think this battle is over here. Cameron Das now coming out of the final corner. Ahead of him now is Glenn Van Berlo. Glenn Van Berlo will be on the rookie podium, as will Shihab Al-Habsi actually, so it wouldn't be a bad day at the office that, if he can get himself onto the rookie podium. But Cameron Das, the American from Baltimore, will get back through, get himself inside the top 10. Maldonado, after all of that now, Maldonado has been given a little bit of breathing space, hasn't he, here? You can see the number 33 just giving a little bit of breathing space, and you can see as they come downhill through that right-hander at turn 5, the cars, front of the cars lifting off the ground as they turn into that turn 5 downhill right-hander.
Yeah, and it's how stiff the chassis is, the suspension setup as well. And there was a bit of a worry at the Hungaroring because they have these massive curbs for F1 races. Curbs here are a little softer and repetitive as well, given it's Paul Ricard. So that has helped with drivers attacking the corners without getting damage, and also means you can run it lower to the ground as well.
That's something that the drivers just have to be aware of every track we get to, isn't it?
And Yiffie's just set the fastest first sector of anyone. Lucas Dunn responded with the fastest second sector of anyone. And we've got 3 laps to go. This incredible pace being set here. 1 minute 55s. Rarely seen even in qualifying in previous years in Euroformula. I don't think it's ever been seen in qualifying in Euroformula prior to this year. So stunning job. We were seeing Rui Andrade, who's currently behind Maldonado still. This really is a train car. And Lucas Dunner just set the fastest lap at 1 minute 54.976. Yiffie set at 1 minute 55.074. That is the 2 fastest laps of this race. 2 fastest laps we've ever seen at Paul Ricard in race conditions at this kind of level of single-seaters. So incredible job by both of them there. They're not settling at all. They're fighting out for this victory.
Brilliant stuff. They're a new team, Crypto Tower Racing team. So for them to be doing the job they are and setting the pace they are is absolutely fantastic. And on screen we can see Eriton Simmons still fighting away with Nicholas Crewton. And in these fairly long races, you'd expect at some point someone would crack under this kind of pressure. But for Nicholas Crewton, so far, he is doing everything he needs to do to make sure that car of Eriton Simmons stays behind him. down the back straight now. And once again, you can see Eriton Simmons. Hello, I'm here. As he pulls outside just to fill the mirrors. Nicholas Crewton just minding his own business. He's not worried about Eriton Simmons so far, but we're coming on to the final lap. Up ahead, we see Andreas Essner being followed by Ido Cohen, who's on to finish 4th for the 2nd time this season. But here we go. This is almost a repeat of what we had a couple of laps ago, as this time it looks like Simmons is just a little bit closer, but once again, just can't quite make that move on the inside. And Nicholas Crewton is going to hold that 5th place. Round the left-hander now at turn number 12 we go. So far it's on for a first top 5 finish for Nicholas Crewton. His best finish it would be of the season, as we go on to the final lap of the race with Lucas Dunner leading the way. But 2 battles, Elliot, that could still change hands here as we go into the latter stages of the race.
Definitely, there isn't really much time to do it. It is now the final lap. Warning car for car 25, track limits at turn 6. That is Alexandre Bardignon. He's outside the points, he's on his own. We still see this battle. Simmons has 2 or 3 opportunities here to make a move, and we know where his car is faster than Crewton, but his turns, don't think he's going to look into in this first sector. He's going to probably do it at the end, as Dunner and Ye are already... Dunner's put another second almost on Yiffy Ye in the first sector alone. So Ye's tyres seem to have dropped off. Essner's tyres are starting to drop off as well. They've gone into the 32-second mark on the first sector, as Dunner is absolutely imperious. This is best race I've seen him race in single-seaters ever, pretty much.
Yep, he hasn't actually taken a win in the Euroformula Open since doing it. He did finish 3rd last season, but he never took a race win. He took 6 podiums on his way to that 3rd place, but never a win, and he looks like he's about to change that. Yiffy Ye, well, he'll be very happy with a 2nd place after the 2 wins he took last time. Andreas Essner is going to have some difficulties to hold on to 3rd place. Likewise, Nicholas Crewton in 5th place, with Eriton Simmons crawling all over the back of him. But we must turn our attention back to our race leader and soon to be the race winner. Through turn number 14 he comes for the final time, and out of the final corner, the Austrian Lucas Dunner on his first race of the season. He is going to take his first win in the Euroformula Open as he comes across the line. Lucas Dunner makes himself a winner in Euroformula Open, finishing in 2nd place, 3 podiums in as many races this season for Yiffy Ye, and then 3rd place, 3 podiums likewise for Andreas Essner as he beats Ido Cohen to the line for 3rd place. 5th place behind that is going to be Nicholas Crewton. He fought off the continuing pressure from Eriton Simmons, and then we have further battles going on behind this. The battle for 7th place as we come out of the final corner and down the start-finish line. Manuel Maldonado finishes in 7th, but behind that he was even closer for the likes of 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th places, with Andrade, Van Berlo, Daz and Al Habsi finishing in that order. Then 12th place was Bardignon, Essner in 13th. Sadly, we did not see Zane Maloney. As for the rookies, the win went to Nicholas Crewton, with Van Berlo in 9th place and Al Habsi in 11th, rounding out the rookie podium. But none of them can beat this man to the flag. Lucas Dunner in the number 69 for Crypto Tower Racing takes the race win by 4.6 seconds in the end over Yiffy Ye. Lights to flag victory for Lucas Dunner. That is how you do it to take your first race win. Andreas Essner, hard fought 3rd place, nowhere near as straightforward as it was at times for him in Hungaroring. He had some very lonely races around the Hungaroring. If he was hoping for something a little bit different, I don't think he would have wanted it to be like that, with constant pressure from one of the Carlin drivers behind him. So Cohen, Crewton, Simmons, Maldonado, Andrade, Van Berlo, Daz, your top 10, and then just outside Al Habsi, Bardignon and Essner. What does that do to the championship? Well, Yiffy Ye continuing to score big points. He now has 72 points, 21 ahead of Andreas Essner in 2nd, Ido Cohen 3rd, and despite just 1 day of racing, Lucas Dunner up to 4th place already ahead of Zane Maloney, who drops to 5th after not taking the race start. And that one's going to be good, as Elliot said. He feels that was probably one of the best drives he's ever seen Lucas Dunner have. Lucas Dunner had a good season last year, finished 5th in the Euroformula Open Winter Series, 14th over at the Macau Grand Prix as well, and that's taken him into the FIA F3 Championship this year with MP Motorsport. You would have expected some slightly happier faces down there, but it's almost like job done. That was what we were expecting, and Lucas Dunner now wins. They're kind of getting used to it already, that team, though. 3 in as many races, so I guess it's becoming the norm at Crypto Tower Racing. Great to have on board with Shihab Al-Habsi, wasn't it? It was, we did see some great battling with him and how it is to run behind cars very closely in these cars around the Paul Ricard circuit. So Shihab Al-Habsi, who gets himself on the rookie podium, finishing just outside of the top 10, and brought us some entertainment along the way, didn't he? That's the win in the bag for Lucas Dunner after taking pole position earlier. It was his 3rd pole in the championship, his 2nd around this circuit as well. So he does like this place. He got podiums. He got 2 3rd places here last season. 2 of the 6 podiums he had all season came at this track. If you had to pick a track where he was going to get his first win, I'd say any big Lucas Dunner fans would have said this one would have been your odds-on favourite, given his form around here over the years as he now climbs out of the car. And that is the first race victory in Euroformula Open for Lucas Dunner. And he's over the moon, isn't he, as he jumps out now to go and celebrate with his team. Delighted is Lucas Dunner, Yiffy Yi, 2nd place, and well, I think he's okay with that. Well, he doesn't look disappointed, but he doesn't really look happy either. He just looks content. I think it's more of a case of how did he beat me by that much? 4.6 was the gap in the end. Andreas Essner, he seems pleased with 3rd. Celebrating with family and friends there. Lucas Dunner and the team as well. There is Yiffy Yi. Second place for Yiffy Yi, and with his teammate, he'll want to find out how the gap got so much. But Lucas Dunner, we've got to remember, he's a very established driver, as we will shortly hear from the race winner. More familiar faces, just the 4th different driver, the 5th different driver rather, on the podium in Lucas Dunner. It was a pretty good first race, wasn't it? It was definitely an exciting start to the race. Good battles throughout, and a new race winner in the championship. I don't think you can ask for much more than that, and we will do it all over again tomorrow. So to recap, the top 3 in race number 1 here at Paul Ricard. Andreas Essner, his 3rd podium in as many races this season for the German Van Amersfoort driver. Finishing in 2nd, beaten for the first time this season, is the Chinese driver of Yiffy Yi. And beating him was his teammate at Crypto Tower Racing, taking his first win in Euroformula Open, the Austrian driver Lucas Dunner. Let's go down and hear from him now.
Lucas Dunner, it's done. First victory at last in the Euroformula in what is your track of preference almost.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I waited already 1 year for this moment. Last year we didn't make it, and to be now on pole and now take the win is just incredible. I can't describe my feelings at the moment. Really happy to be here. Great teamwork, and the car just felt amazing, and I could made quite a good gap, and from the rest on it was good and comfortable. So hopefully we do the same tomorrow.
I hope so. But the nice thing is this comes just before Austria, because next round is Austria at home, so you will have less pressure and more interest around you.
Yeah, the sad thing is I will not be in Austria because I have the FIA F3. I mean, I'm the saddest guy on earth. I bet that I can't race on my home track, but I think there are more worse things on earth. So, yeah, for sure it's a good thing, and it will help us for the next round. but confidence shouldn't get too high. We still have a lot to improve and a lot to work on. And yeah, at the moment it just feels good. So now it's time to celebrate a bit.
Yeah, it's a matter of enjoying the moment. Podium now. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Also running wide as down towards the chicane they went there. You can see just to the left of the screen, that was when Glenn Van Berle ran wide, and as he rejoined the circuit, almost took Alexandre Bourdignon out of the race. Plenty of overtaking going on in the background. That was Eriton Simmons making a move through turn number 11, but out front, Lucas Dunner would extend his lead over teammate Yiffy Yi, pair exchanging fastest laps throughout the race. This was one of the main battles. It was the battle for 5th place between Nicholas Crewton and Eriton Simmons, who made many attempts to get by but couldn't quite do it. And out front, taking his first ever win in the championship, Austrian Lucas Dunner led us home to win at Paul Ricard. And it meant a lot to him and the team. A 1-2 for the Crypto Tower Racing team as well, with Andreas Essner once again on the podium. Well, we have the podium now. We get our top 3 up onto the podium. First of all, 3rd place for Andreas Essner. We'll be hoping he can continue this constant run of podium. We're only 3 races in, but to have 3 podiums during that time is not a bad effort. And Yiffy Yi, likewise, back onto there, just not in the middle of it this time. 2nd place for him and extending his championship lead. But winning for the first time in the championship, Lucas Dunner, the Austrian, going on to the top step. And now we'll hear the national anthem of Austria. I think it was not quite a jump start, and opposite to that, I think some of the rookie drivers coming out now. So Nicholas Crewton to the right-hand side of the screen, the rookie winner and winning team Crypto Tower Racing team, representative to the far left-hand side of the screen. Now we pick up the trophies there. You can see Lucas Dunner, your winner, 2nd place, Yiffy Yi, Andreas Essner 3rd. And then we have Nicholas Crewton, your rookie winner, Crypto Tower Racing team, your team winner. We do it all again tomorrow. Join us live here in Paul Ricard in France at 9:25 local time for qualifying. We'll see you there.
Bravo, messieurs, on va se retrouver pour la suite du programme. Il reste encore 2 pour cette actualité. On va se retrouver pour les commentaires.